Siz bana eğitiyorsunuz artık, bana tercih edeceksiniz ya. Birimiz bırakıp birimiz. Hoş geldin Yasemin'e.
Since our talk is in English, participation usually is less than what we have, but the quality counts. And thank you all for coming. I met Sergei TCHOBAN'ın in Moscow when there was an architecture biennale, and he curated one of the pavilions, and I also get accustomed to his talent, dedication, and then I followed him. He established a museum of architectural drawings and records in Berlin. I hope he will show that project to us. And he is a dear friend, and we owe his presence to my dear friend Enis and Çağla Öncüoğlu. They first invited me to Moscow in order to meet Sergei, among other things. And the floor is his.
So, thank you very much for coming, and thank you, dear Suha, for this wonderful house, wonderful home for books, for architecture, for history, and for feeling of history in every detail, what is really very touchable and touched me a lot, because I also love, so far my modest possibilities are details, and this very fine ongoing of details from the history to contemporary positions here in house are of course very, very high valuable. And thank you very much, dear Suha, for this work, for this establishment of wonderful architectural library, and of course for me it's huge honor to be invited here. And thank you, dear Enis, for your invitation and for your friendship so far. I feel myself very excited to be in this really very honorable line of big architects were presented here in the former time. So I have a big office. So far I have a lot of projects. Also in some countries, I wouldn't say in many countries, but in many, in some countries I have my projects. So far I choose now something what is quite important, I think, for me, for thinking now. And on the other side, Suha explained that I established Museum for Architectural Drawings, that is a foundation in Berlin. But I'm also by myself draftsman. I draw since I was a child, in the school, in the high school, and drawing is for me somehow a way to understand what I like or maybe what I dislike. In architecture, we say today Instagrammable, so what you can make as photo and put on Instagram, I would say drawable. So what kind of architecture is for me interesting enough to be put on the drawing. So far I researched the town through my drawings, and that is the first one. Is here somebody from the guests explained that he was here first time for 50 years. I would say that's a picture how the town, any town of Europe would look like for 50 years or even for 300 years. Small buildings, some tower, some dome, and very reduced, let's say, very reduced skyline. But of course, the development of town, and we can not avoid this development anymore. Much more we maybe don't like also to avoid it, because as architects we are taking part on it. Has today in the towns much more different layers, and these layers have to do also with a lot of contrast and with elaborating of new elements, of new let's say positions and typologies of the buildings. So I have seen from Veduti di Roma very nice etching by Suga as a present from Agahan. That is also on base of Veduti di Roma, because the layer down is exactly what Piranesi, not exactly, but like free copied from Piranesi's Veduti di Roma Porta Ripetta, very important harbor view, old harbor view in Rome. And over them, over this 18th century, we have 20th century, where, let's say, the same details we are tried to make in another scale. And then the next jump in the generation today, not work anymore with the urban, let's say, with the urban blocks, but work more with objects and with making like a garden of sculptures and not town of spaces. And this idea and this changing of towns comes very hard to Europe and brings a lot of changes, where the picture of the town doesn't become to be the same even every 40 years. That is, I think, quite a problem. Of course, we can say, why not? The picture of the town can be changed, and can be changed even quite often. But for me, it is quite unpleasant. I come to some town, I see a picture, and after 20 years, I don't see this picture anymore. I have another picture, and in another 20 years, I have another picture. So I don't have somehow the substance of town. I have changeable, temporarily development of architecture as something what aged worse and worse and be demolished faster and faster. That is a typical view of Berlin, where the existing layers of end of 19th century, beginning of 20th century, going together with the layer of architecture after the Second World War, where Berlin was, of course, we know all about this, was quite grounded, demolished. But this contrasts and this mixture of, let's say, architectural historical book of Berlin is for me important quality of the town. I live and work since 30 years, and that's why the thinking reuse became for me a very important point, not about ecology and reduced of carbon footprint, but also because of existing the same picture along the time. That is a Berlin for the Second World War. It was the town of urban fabric, with the blocks, with the squares, with the boulevards, with the parks, and with the parcels of different addresses of houses. And after the war, it became like this. So it became like not partly empty, but nearly completely empty on some very, very important places. And to that time, the language of architecture was already completely else, as on my picture previous. And the language of this architecture became to be completely different to what was a town before. Yeah, now we can say, okay, this language is also old, let's waste it out and let's make another language we like now. And maybe in 20 years we like another language and we put them on top. But I don't think that is really sustainable in sense of continuous development of town. That's why as a competition for rebuilding or reconstruction or even demolition of this block was open, and I was invited to this competition. I told it is good architecture, why we should demolish it. There is one house what as many in Istanbul or in Paris or in London or somewhere else, and I would say our language today is not worse and not better as this, and this house is not listed, it's not heritage, but still it is a house with a quality, with sculpturality, with depth and so on. And I told we take part on this competition to do nothing with them. So we reuse them completely. That is the substance. We in fact renovated that very carefully and brought them to that position now. And frankly speaking, there were a lot of people there. It was not a large competition, but some competitors, they got completely new building with new facade, with very contemporary facade, let's say. But I am very glad today as I go from east to the west and I see this picture as I have thought it. I've seen it. Sorry, I've seen it for 30 years as I was coming to Berlin 1990. I am very glad and proud that I have the same picture. And now, hopefully for the next 30-40 years, till the next thinking of demolition will come maybe, and maybe with the same result. What I would wish, but maybe not live through this anymore. And that is the point. The second point is, of course, we have a lot to do with cultural development, because it is not it is not a big surprise, let's say, that many people don't like contemporary architecture. They don't like modern architecture at all. So I've spoken with our client yesterday, and they made a very nice test through the people, and contemporary architecture, as in the form of pure modernity, was by the people on the 4th or 5th place. So on the first 3 places we are like nostalgic and a little bit nostalgic and a little bit neoclassic and so on, but modernity comes on the 5th place. So in Russia, for example, where I worked a lot, I'm native from Russia and worked there a lot, over 20 years. This architecture doesn't bring the people to a lot of compliments. They say, "What is this? That is like something not high and not low. Looks stupid out. Let's demolish." To be lucky, it is under heritage. That's why it was not a position to demolish it. It is old broad factory. It was in function beginning of 30s, quite genius. The whole stuff was going on top, and from top to down the bread was produced. And that's why round, because it's round bend goes from floor to floor, and somewhere here we have a bread, and that goes out to the shop. And now it is of course no bread there, and it was big town planning development there. I made the skyscrapers around, but I made also proposals for renovation of this bread factory, like a center for research for constructivism. I hope you know, constructivism is a leading trend in Soviet Union, comparable with Bauhaus, and to be frankly, in Moscow, Moscow has now not the best times, but normally if many foreigners were coming, they asking where we can go and see constructivism, because it's a very, very important part of avant-garde. Nowhere, because no one museum has it as an exhibition for any time. That is why my initial 2020. I've spoken with owner and told to him why we do second, third, fourth center for contemporary art. Let's do center for research of constructivism. And we made, in fact, very, from my point of view, very nice development of this renovation. In what we did follow things. I used not only the layer of 1931 as the building was built, but in fact all layers were coming after. I wanted to see it as also not for the first time. We know Palais de Turku from Le Cadron Vassal and many other people who made it similar. But I think on this place it was very possible to keep all layers, to fix all layers, and to give to the visitor a possibility to see how the house develops itself with the time. So you see the old ceramic, you have this added ceramic where you have plaster, then you have parts of black ceramic, or even what in 70s what printed here with ceramic from some home artists, unknown artists, but still it is like a layer of history. And the house has very nice, significant round form. And in the first floor, in the ground floor, I left it all as it is with all layers, with our museum climate, and it is dedicated to contemporary artists. But from the first floor, it is nearly the same. You see also all that, but we are with the double floors, with a very, very good climatic and humidity reasons. We have very, very good quality for exhibiting of really masterpieces, what are doing now all time. And for nowadays, of course, I tell it is maybe not a very fortunate, very successful time to visit Moscow. But in any case, now you can come to the capital of constructivism and you see it on one place. It's very interesting art of exhibiting, where you see all space and still you have a possibility to see a lot of masterpieces. You see Vesnin here and Rodchenko, so very important things with the museum quality of exhibiting, of temperature, of humidity in the old bread factory, former bread factory. And the last floor with cinemas gives the possibility to see cinema about that time, or some first night moving show, or some lectures about art or architecture discussions. For nowadays it is very popular space. It is never empty here, but also here you see how the old timber ceiling with the layers of construction structural elements make them better load bearing, all comes together through different times and became very handsome and very inviting space. Another, and in this case the last reuse project, what is also quite spectacular, is also in Russia. It was made completed 22, beginning of 22, and that is also quite interesting substance what was there. In 1896 it was like this pavilion for fair, for international fair. It was very important Nizhegorodsky fair, where Rubel, Repin were exhibited, and a lot of production were exhibited international. But to that time I began to work, that was a heritage and nothing else. It was just a structure and nothing else. And my first ideas were, to be frankly, quite stupid. I wanted to make it with glass, very expensive and so on. But at least I decided to make these. Because of cost, because of time, and because of feeling that this structure should be still on the first row as an outcoming structure. And the houses exactly in the same proportions but smaller. became this mirroring structure, and that's why the structure of outlines mirroring inside and gives the possibility to think that a lot of air is inside. Also you don't see really the volume of the building. In fact, you have here concept hall, you have here exhibition hall, you have here some other exhibition spaces. It's quite big program, but you don't feel this program because of this feeling of disappearing volume. And I think it's also a quite nice way to reuse this structure without to close it and without to give them another character as it is. So on this way the structure goes inside in some courtyard where you go around through the pre-function area, and if you have a new beams they are also with mirroring cladding, and in this case you don't see new, you see really everywhere on the old structure. But inside is quite big functional program. We have 430 people in the concert hall. It's a big, comparable big space. We have some supported restaurant spaces on the other side of lobby, and you see a very nice view outside to the river, because this whole complex is on the border of two rivers. And if you stay outside and you see how the musicians are going in the concert, you can see really from outside or from inside what happens on the other side of the house. So completely transparency or mirroring gives them a disappearing effect, what I think very nice and very handsome way to reuse the structure. Another point, what is of course now in Germany and many countries became to be quite important, is a reduction of carbon footprint and giving of simple structures, because of fast time of construction. Also all this construction was made only in 11 months. It's a huge space, 30,000 square meters. And giving them prefabricated timber hybrid construction parts to prefabricate wall parts, ceiling parts, and give them very fast and very light structure. Light is very important, because in the light structure we don't give so much weight to fundaments, and we use not so much concrete, what of course makes the footprint of carbon footprint worse and worse. It is quite a handsome atmosphere in the interior with the timber beams and with timber columns. Prefabricated wall elements are staying floor to floor, and prefabricated ceiling elements are coming up, and it goes quite fast. It is a very simple and very pragmatic structure outside, with only two exceptions: huge porticos to come in, and huge loggia where you see really this wooden structure of the house. And then you come in, and inside, where climatic reasons are much milder, I made big communication space, also made by timber, also very light, where the people could connect and could speak each other, could work with each other on the space of this multifunctional area inside. That was my sketch to base the idea. And that is the result. It is not only very good for acoustic reasons, it is also very handsome as a possibility to connect different floors and to speak each other on these islands between the working spaces. And last but not least, there's also a quite nice roof, because this roof is very light. It is only 45 kilos per square meter. Instead of glazing roof, what would be over 100. And it is not glazing, it is plastic. And there is very, very spectacular, only 40 centimeters high timber beams in connection with steel tubes, making space construction what is very good against wind and very light also. So all buildings with this steel staircases, very light wooden structures, a very light roof, what is once more very good for acoustic reasons and very good for sunning protection reasons, because it's plastic roof what going in many layers, and the middle two layers can go together or can divide each other, and you can have more light or less light up the position of these middle layers. So far you have good acoustic because it's much more mild, the surface, as the surface by glass. It is much better for sunning protection. You have very good acoustic atmosphere inside. And all in all, it became to be really the middle point of this huge tenant, Vattenfall, its energy deliver. And I would say it is good, really good thing to combine people, because nowadays in Germany, as in all Europe, we have of course huge concurrence to home office, and the people are asking every time, do you like if I maybe come in the office, or maybe you would be agreed to leave me home? And of course the atmosphere of office space should be some unusual to bring the people inside of the office. And as I heard, it is exactly the aim what was getting here after the construction. Another project was made also with timber hybrid construction, is the same big fabric on the river. It is also quite pragmatic and made also with completely timber work, but in this case not with beams but with flat elements in with a delta beam inside of the depths of ceiling. So we could reduce the height of the floors to give them in light more space. That is also completely prefabricated, column by column, and ceiling element by ceiling element. So the construction was going also quite fast. And in fact, you see a very light facade. It must be, because wood cannot exist with a very heavy facade. We have wooden structure as the columns, we have wooden structure as the ceilings, and we have of course acoustic second layer for all media. And in the middle of two blocks we have like this 5-story bridge made completely by wooden construction, because for the people it was important to go through from water to one block to living blocks and back. And inside of this bridge it is also quite nice atmosphere with a divider made like construction truss work inside of this bridge, like this construction. And to be all in all, it is like a house what doesn't use any energy from outside, because we have ice storage in the old channels of the harbor where the house staying. We have energy from the geothermic foundation. We have air, we have wind energy, and we have sun energy, and altogether brings the house like completely autark construction, independent from out heating and out cooling. That is nearly ready now, and looks good with this a lot of spaces where the people can coming out and have a terraces to the water. And in any case, it is very high ecological rate of the building. And the third one from this line I wanted to show you is quite interesting form, because on this plot was already existing building. It was quite abounded, but in Berlin we have big problems with the demolishing, because of what I have said already, of living blocks. And still they have some families living there, but the house was in very, very bad substance. And in this separate case, we decided to make some ecological and social reasons to allow them to demolish it, and to give them a possibility to to make like a balance between social aspects we give and social aspects we take. So we demolish some flats, but we bring the same number of flats. So even the people who can come back, they can come and live in these flats of the same size, because it is social living in these two blocks. We bring completely ecological construction way of timber hybrid of all construction, and we bring on top also social ateliers, studio for artists, because that is a part in the town where a lot of artists have their ateliers, and we give this possibility also to one or some artists to have atelier in the underground floor, and it is around 1,000 square meters, not small. It's like 10% of all building, and they can live, they can work there, not live but work there for very low price. So in this balance, the town has seen them in the position to give this permission, and we begin with this permission now to build this building. That are two apartment blocks. That is office block with a lot of terraces, and on with complete timber facade and timber hybrid construction. That is a vertical structure, two residentials, this social artist studio, and if you go inside, you see this over lights for artist studio comes around. This artist studio, in comparing to the offices, has separate entrance. You go in and you can use it really as separate space, not only for working but also then for exhibiting the works, and that is quite huge space. Of course we'll divide it after, and altogether it became to be a multifunctional complex as a project where the social reasons were heavy enough to give the possibility to the town to say yes, we would demolish the house and we would give the possibility to build it new, and to take the possibilities coming together with this permission. Even for bicycles, we have a very good space connected to lobby, and then the garden on top of the studio, and altogether it became to be, from my point of view, like a balance between what the client with my architecture would take from the town and what the client would give to the town. I think it is quite good sample in very green district where only green party is on the government. And the last point where also the project was what Suchel explained will come in is the social integration. What I think so in such a towns as Berlin is also a very, very important part. First of them is a point of social integration of a school that is in Magdeburg, in the main capital of Sachsen-Anhalt land, and there is a small music hall also in Timber for Waldorf school. Waldorf school is a school for special education, special part of education, and the school goes with a hill together and gives a possibility to integrate this music hall inside of the hill, like a small timber construction, and so I presented the interiors. It was also a competition where in the competition were not only architects as a jury but also the children, their parents and their teachers, and they chosen together who is an architect who will build this music hall for them. Another sample is also quite handsome. That is a very small museum on the land in Russia made with timber and clay about the history of agricultural work, and it is like a column, because agricultural work for any case is a column of our life, support of our life, but on the same time it has something to do also with the tradition of Russian constructivism, Russian architecture, and altogether it became to be nearly curious vertical museum where you come in very small space. That is something what a foundation, Nicola Lenivets, what was made there, a lot of artworks, invests in it, and the people can come, open the door. The door is old one, was found in the surrounding as all these agricultural instruments, and you come in and you see a very interesting, in very small space, smelt with clay. You see these old elements I found in the houses of people living in the surrounding. How the agricultural work was for like 50 years. And you can see it in the background of agricultural work for today, what is still very big support for the life, and that's why it's quite nice education for the tourists that are coming to this land. And last but not least is the foundation, what Suha explained. In fact, it's also quite small building. It's only 550 square meters, and it is a end townhouse. That's my drawing explains how it should be. It has 5 floors, four floors. 1 floor for entrance, 2 floors for exhibition, 1 for archive, and 1 for curating circles for directorium, for entrance, and so on. On the facade, there were fragments of drawings made by Italian artists from 18th, beginning of 19th century, like a building what explains about its content. What I think is very important, as you see the silhouette from far away, you come closer and you see more details, what the old buildings are also making. What I think is very important, if you come closer to see more. This is still very important function of architecture, let's say. And it is not only just decoration, it is decoration what speaks about content of house. There are, in fact, very small technical floor. We have load-bearing concrete walls. It is not plates, but it's load-bearing structure, cast-in-place structure. And because of closing walls, because of closing skin of the house, we spare about 30% of energy for this house, because the humidity, the temperature wouldn't come inside from outside. And to be closer, you see all these decorations, all these elements, like drawings. From the distance, you think they are drawings. From the close distance, you think that they are reliefs. So all our work begins with a very handsome drawing and ends by quite monolithic work. That's something about drawing and relationship to architecture. It was made with rubber matrices. Rubber matrices were coming inside of form, and after that coming out, and concrete wall was ready or nearly ready. And inside we made the timber walls, but with the same structure, but made inside of timber. It is quite interesting event. Every time we have very different exhibitions there. We have Stephen Hall, and then Albertina, and then Tatiana Bilbao, and then German Architectural Museum, or Victorian Albert, or Johnson Museum, or sometimes collection of our museum. We have our own collection of drawings. So far we exchange it 3 times a year and bring them in 11 years already to quite interesting, like 35 exhibitions. That is one of them belonging to Mark Fisher, a stage designer who made stage design for Rolling Stones, for example, or for Pink Floyd, and is unfortunately dead now, but was very, very important stage designer. And stage design is also a part of architecture, and drawing for stage design is our part of architectural drawing for architecture. And inside I tried to make it like with a very pointed details from down to up, to give them like a handwriting of the same language through whole building, ended by this glazing terraces and glazing top floor, where we have curating rooms, and all till the last detail, till the door lever, makes them to one explaining, where you explain with the same language from the facade to the door lever about the similar kind of elements. And even last one doesn't like to stay. Also, the facade could be used for light installations, like by this exhibition of Ilya Kabakov, where we made an installation of Falling Angel by Emil and Ilya Kabakov on the facade by Festival of Light in Berlin. So the facade is also speaking here on the different ways. That's the last one, and thank you very much if it was not boring.
Sergei, you were really fast. Great.
Fast? I don't know, also 45 minutes.
That was good. You know, this is from my collection of T-shirts. I am giving it to Sergei
Oh, great.
as in order to remember all of you.
Very nice. Thank you very
I will
much, dear
take
Suban.
picture.
Ja, genau. Also, ja, genau. How it looks like if it would be on me. Oh, thank you, my dear.
For the remembrance, the poster and the.
Oh, great.
And
That is very important for me because
and
I keep it. Oh, it's so great, so great. Thank you, my dear.
So, if you have any questions, he is here.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you very, very much. It is really a big honor. So, yes, please.
Thank you for very good, very nice projects, very interesting projects.
Thank you, thank you.
And then my question is, to preserve the wood against fire, what regulation has the Germany?
It is
There-
not a massive wood, what is of course very problematic against fire. It is sliced wood.
I know.
Yes, and by sliced wood, it is nearly not fired. It is completely sustainable. The only you have to make the dimension slightly more as it should be,
Okay.
because the first charcoal layer would stay, and then it is. That's why these buildings, they don't have even sprinkler system. They are not sprinkler. Of course, we can make also skyscrapers with theoretically with wood, or practically also in Norway. They make it, but I think the most reasonable are the houses till 7 floors, like till 22 meters last ceiling, last floor. And in this case, you even don't need sprinkler system.
I know.
So, and your dimension should be approved, but should be slightly more as a static dimension you have to be kept.
I used to work in a couple of buildings in Vienna.
Yeah, exactly.
It's similar.
That is absolutely similar.
I remember as much as we need for the carry buildings.
Yes.
Adding additional 2 or 3 centimeters.
Exactly what I
I'd like to know if it's the
Yeah,
same.
it is the same.
Thank you.
I want to continue with the same subject. I was in Expo Real, and there was too many companies now begin to produce this technologies,
Yeah.
different technologies to be used in wooden architecture, let's say. And I asked them, what is your competence in terms of earthquakes? As you know, in Turkey we have
Yeah,
a
I
severe
know.
earthquake, and they said that to a certain extent they developed the technology. The problem is the joints. Still
The problem is
joints.
the joints, because they have not monolithic joints. They have the joints with a steel element on top of them. You go with a ceiling element, so it is like this joint. And to be frankly, I didn't make any timber building in
Seismic zone.
earthquake situation. Has to be done, but I think it's a question of joint made then by steel. So you have to make like a round element, make them completely unmovable by steel, a round column and beam. I would prefer. Or if you have flat ceiling, you go from this delta beam. You go with some steel elements and you make them closed with a column, and then you give quite good insurance for stability also in earthquake situation. Please, you would.
My question is answered. It was the same question.
Yes.
Please.
Are the authorities
Us? Sorry, yes.
sympathizing with the reuse of the buildings? I mean, is there a regulation to encourage?
No, that's the point. There are no regulations, and in fact, in this first sample I explained, I was completely alone against all people. It was just a feeling. I don't like to change a picture I found nice. For 30 years I was coming into Berlin. This was a very, very personal, because some buildings in Berlin in the last time were demolished. What I have seen exactly as I was in August 1990 there, and I've seen, nice postmodernistic building. It's already demolished, and another one is staying. And I found it really pity, because somehow I'm glad that if I come to St. Petersburg, I go to the house I was born. I go to the house I have lived. It is house from 70s. I was born in this house from 1850, let's say. But they both are staying. I would be really unhappy if one of them would be demolished, and I see the atmosphere I was born, the atmosphere I was grown up is already not there, or the atmosphere of the house or of the town I visited for the first time is already disappearing. I'm not so glad about this. I'm for sole sustainability of town that you see pictures over time. But to be frankly, authority is not so really very temperamental about it. As they say, okay, you can demolish. They say you can leave. Normally, you find arguments pro and contra for it. To be frankly, and to be also frankly, of course, also now I demolish houses. Of course, it is like a sample, but I show this sample not because I like to show good and not to show bad. But in this case, I was really alone against many people who told, "Are you stupid? Make you a handsome facade, and you are the best guy." As you have a skyscraper in the middle of Berlin, left from Duttmann and left from Sharon. What is your problem? But exactly that is the problem. If everybody of us would make on every place new language and renew it as every like 40-50 years, then we never recognize the town as it is, even through our life. This may be less dramatic if it would happen 100 years, what was happened also in 18th and 17th century. But now it happens every 30 years. And it means that everybody of us lives through 3 changes. That's quite, it takes a lot of flexibility from us. We have to be very flexible in this case.
But also from the point of climate change. Now
Yeah.
there's so much concern.
Yeah, but
Reuse of buildings, for example.
yeah,
Construction contributes a lot.
of course. If you leave construction,
Yeah.
you leave a lot. You leave like 40%, not 40%. You leave 25% of the of all volume
Yes.
by leaving of construction.
Yes.
And in this case, of course, you reduce reduce contribution of carbon and so on. But to be frankly, if I speak with authorities, they're very different, very different. I had a situation where I was also alone. I don't show it, but it was a house. The client wanted to use it for the daughter of VW, VW, as a car supplier, and they needed just a terrace on the roof, and they wanted to use the house. And I took really 3/4 of a year to explain to them that the making terrace is much better as to demolishing whole house and bringing the new spaces as they like. The authorities are told, no, we don't like terraces because we have living areas around and it would be noisy. Demolish it, make new. And I told with the politicians, look, it looks like Center Pompidou. It was the same time, so like end of 60s. It looks like Center Pompidou, but of course very modest, but still our Center Pompidou. And some politician was coming to the lot, and after that coming with a message, yes, you are right, it's something similar, let's keep it. Also they are not so groundly in this direction that you have to. You can, if you like, but you don't have like big support. And that is a situation what I would have waited, it would be more support, but it is not till now.
Any other questions?
There may be only the difference between the situation of Berlin and in Russia. The chance for you to produce the buildings in Berlin is maybe all by competitions, I think. And
Both in Russia and as in Berlin, both.
Okay.
We have also in Russia a lot
Competitions
won through
also.
the competition. So the most important things we won through the competition.
Okay.
And in Berlin, some of them. But of course, the competition it is also so a thing. I love and hate the competition because by competition you have a lot of consultants. They choose, if you are lucky, they choose your work. But after that, they say, take that away, take this away, make that reduce, make that a little bit more modest, you know, and at least you have a block and you ask what for we made a competition. That's a little bit a problem. I'm really wondering that some buildings are staying in the downtown of Berlin as a result of competition, or of Potsdam. And I wouldn't say anybody says, great that you make competition. They would say, what for was made competition for this block? I don't know. Everybody could do it, you know. If you make it alone, and if you make it in the dialogue with the client and authorities and with yourself, you have maybe in such a regulated towns like Berlin, for example, more possibility to do something unusual because you fly under control. And if you are in the competition, especially in Germany or in Italy, you are very public, and everybody speaks this. One says I like left note, the other says I like right note, above note, down note, and then we have in the middle something. You have won, but where you will lose.
Okay.
That is my personal feeling, because I of course as any architect I make a lot of competitions, and I won some competitions and built after them the buildings. In Petersburg I built huge complexes after competition, as also in new city hall of Petersburg. And in Moscow, like Federation Tower, it is a result of competition. In Berlin, many buildings in the downtown. But I would say, that's not even that what I would say every time competition brings better quality. In my personal opinion, not. And even I see the results through the German practice, for example, I would say maybe 1 yes, but 10 for them not. 10 for them modest, because everybody was afraid, and they chosen what was most modest.
Yeah.
That is, I think, the problem.
Okay. Thanks.
Sergei, we are more or less on a similar track, but you are much ahead of us. Our sort of modest contribution and your great contribution. And I am really appreciative and envious of your thing. But your Berlin Museum is a jewel.
Yes, thank
It's such a simplicity and made a tremendous mark on the city with a little corner, and that's the talent, creativity, and with our appreciation, we thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It makes for me a lot for your words and your participation. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Yes.
We have some böreks from the street, and of course wine.
Evet.